2026 and the link is feeling cold. Last year is done, new story getting told. Jalen under fire, say his vision's getting tight. They say he's uncoachable, can't get right. AJ in New England, now that deal is done. Lemons got the green light, pick that number one. Benny in the coordinator, put your fears to rest. Patillo playing checkers, why this dude is playing chess. AJ finally traded and the hype train's broke. Rabel's back to coaching and Ruzini's catching smoke. 10 toes down with the Eagles on the scene. Ain't no time for fakers cause your boy is bleeding green. Sources leaking stories but you know it's all cap. Coach Markus on the mic and he's shooting all facts. Search trending topics, information moving slow. Pro fan talk, always keep you in the know. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw. With the real ones ball. From the birds to the league, we gon' cover it all. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw.
What's going on, y'all? Happy Friday to you. I normally don't go this time, but got some stuff done. And I was like, let me see what this time slot does for a little bit. That way I can get my stream in, be done early, all that kind of good stuff. But what's going on, man? Figured I'd go listening to some news. Camp news. Everybody's getting excited for camp, from what they see in camp. I see somebody talking about morale, and I saw that everybody's showing the Dontavian Wicks catch. Not much from Makai Lemon, and so you've been hearing different things, man. And I say the same thing that I've always said, man. Pump your brakes. Pump the brakes. Even when you go to the flip side of it, the video came out of A.J. Brown dropping that pass. He tried to one-handed pass. He dropped it. And apparently Vrabel got with him, and, that sort of thing. And people blew that out of proportion. I heard everything that he was slow. He lost a step. His knee ain't healed. He's not the same. I heard all of that. And then you see a couple of clips from the day where he burned some DB and caught a good pass from Drake May. So it's like, pump the brakes, man. Pump the brakes. Dontavian Wicks went up and got that ball. He high pointed it. He's got hops. That was a great play, great pass, great catch. Right? Some people are already complaining that Makai Lemon is not it. How do you know? How do you know? There's one thing that people got to realize, man. When you are going up against your own team, it's different. It's different. When you are going up against your own team after the first week, you have seen everything you need to see. You know what the routes are. You know what the formations look like. You know what the checks look like. You know what the motions look like. You get used to all of that type of stuff. And that's why I said from the rip, pump the brakes on camp until you get to a joint practice. The reason why joint practices are so important is because you don't know what the other person is doing. That's why. The Eagles have been looking at other Eagles for the whole week. They know what it is. You get a good gist of what's coming up against you very quickly when you looking at the same people every day. You're looking at the same film every day. When they only been, this is what, their third or fourth day of practice? What do you think kind of film they're looking at? They're looking at last year's film. Plays from last year in camp. Same type of plays. What they'll do is they're going over this play, this formation. They've already got those plays on tape. It's already in the server. All they got to do is pull it up, and they'll pull up all the plays from camp, all the plays from preseason, all the plays from the regular season. They can play all the plays from the Cowboys, all the plays from Green Bay, all of those plays versus different defenses, different teams, different scenarios, different situations. They can pull all that up on the server. They can itemize everything they're looking for, and they studying the same people, especially when you coming into camp. It's you on you. So I don't put too much stock into now seeing that catch by Dontavian Wicks. That was a phenomenal throw and catch, and he went up and got it. Something like that is phenomenal. That was a great catch by him. But I don't know what he's going to do against another DB. I don't know what he's going to do against another DB that might be able to outjump him or outrun him Or what did his break look like? What did the pass look like before that? So there's too many things that you can throw into this pot. But I understand why people get happier like that. You know what I'm saying? I understand everybody's excited and you see a good play, and I say this all the time, you see a good play, and then it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. They'll replay it. Everybody will have it on social media. They'll play it in slow motion, just like they did Octavian Wicks. They got him going up in slow motion, high pointing the ball and putting it down and rolling over twice, coming up with the ball. Jalen Hurts going to dap him up, all of that type of stuff. And it just makes it look sometimes a little bit more than it actually is. That play, I think that play stands out on its own. But I've seen situations where, they get a couple of clips of Mekhi Lemon warming up, doing agility drills. Look how fast Mekhi Lemon looks. Look how quick he is off the ball. It's like, you haven't seen anything yet. Relax. Relax. Even the play today when AJ cooked that dude up in New England. So what? Everything is very vanilla. I would bet my money on AJ Brown almost every time when he goes one-on-one against a DB. I still got my money on AJ. AJ's still one of the best receivers in the league. Ain't nothing changed. Just because he's in a new zip code. And we'll get our opportunity to put Reek Woolen to the test. And I say Reek Woolen specifically because Coop has already went against AJ Brown. Quinyon has already gone against A.J. Brown. Marcus Epps, Drew McCuba, they've already gone against A.J. Brown. So they understand what it is. Reek Woolen is new. So he got to get that experience. But A.J. Brown ain't went against somebody that can match his speed, and that's 6'4" with a crazy wingspan and can run as fast as he runs. I don't think A.J. Brown has come up against another DB like Reek Woolen. We didn't play Seattle. We played Seattle 2 years ago. Was Reek Woolen there? We played Seattle in 23, right? So you talking about practice, not a game, just practice. And the other thing is, like, and I know I'm trying not to put too much AJ spin on it, but look at that play that AJ had, right? Who was the DB? Does anybody know who the DB was? If you know, put it in the chat. Did he make a mistake? Did he know who he was going up against? Going up against Gonzo. Like, so what happened? Did he slip coming off the ball? Was everything all good and he just made a good play? Did he have good coverage? Maybe he had good coverage and just a great play by AJ. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's all going to come down to the same thing with the Patriots, the same thing with the Eagles, the same thing with the Bengals, the same thing with the Giants, the same thing with the Cowboys. Everybody's going to find out what they got when they go up against somebody else. I don't want to see, I'm not putting too much stock in what I see in camp. I'm not putting too much stock in it. I got to see when they go up against somebody else and they don't know what's coming at them. That's when you get a true measure of what you're looking at. That's when I'll be able to properly evaluate Mekhi Lemon. Now, when I go up to practice next Tuesday, I'll be able to see Mekhi Lemon and say, damn, yeah, he is that fast. Oh, maybe he's a little bit shorter than I thought he was. Maybe he's a little bit taller than I thought he was. Maybe, that he's quick off the ball. He looks good coming out of motion. I'll be able to see them things for myself. But they still not going up against somebody else. So for me, the hype train starts out slow. All right, let me see if this kid's got the quicks like he did in college. Then it gets escalated. Because now I don't want to see that against your own players. I know what we're gonna do. He's gonna look good. Everybody gonna make good plays, but I need to see it against somebody else. Opposite color jerseys. That's what you want to see. That's why college football is so hard to gauge. They just play each other. So you don't really know what kind of team you got until you play the other team. So he didn't have the right cleats on. Oh, man. So, yeah, I heard Lemon's been used a lot in motion, but he hasn't caught many passes. Neither has Hollywood Brown. Neither has Elijah Moore. So We still got a lot of we got a lot of sifting to do. We got to separate the wheat from the chaff. I don't know what the tight ends look like. What is Eli Stowers doing out there? Are we using him as a wide receiver, or is he strictly a tight end? How are we moving? How is Sean Mannion moving the chess pieces on the board? That's one of the things that I want to see. How are we moving the chess pieces on the board? That was the big thing against Patullo, right? He was too. Um, we knew what was coming with him. He was too predictable, right? So now we can see a little bit more, and we can see what's coming on, and what are you gonna do on 3rd and 5? Are you gonna try to fool everybody and hand it off? But maybe we can hand it off if our offensive line is blocking the way they should have been blocking last year. You got a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions. So I heard 2 days of Jalen's looking good. He's throwing the ball good. He looks a little faster. I've heard that. And then I heard Elliott Shore Parks today. It was like, Jalen hasn't looked too good. The defense has won the battles. And I'm like, that's what it's supposed to do. Y'all remember when I said that? Me and Tone talked about that. I said that 5 weeks ago. The defense is going to win all of the battles in the beginning because the defense has the easier job right now. The offense is still learning. They got to learn new personnel, and they got to learn the playbook. So they're already at a disadvantage. So I'm expecting the defense to win most of the days at camp. Y'all remember when I said that? This is why. So I don't. Very, very measured enthusiasm, one way or the other. If I see something bad happen, I'm not taking it as too bad. If Jalen Hurts throws 3 interceptions in practice, it happens. The defense had a hell of a day. Is when you saw that play with Dontavian Wicks, did you immediately say, "Oh man, the defense is getting cooked today"? No, you saw one play. That was it. Leave everything else alone. Just fall back a little bit. Fall back. It's like the excitement. Everybody co-signs the excitement for their guy. I can just imagine what they say in New England. Look at what's going on in Cleveland. Cleveland going the same way. You got half the people saying, "Ooh, Deshaun Watson, man, he had a good day today." And then you got other people saying, I don't know what them folks are talking about. Deshaun Watson looks clearly better than, or Shador Sanders looks clearly better than Deshaun Watson. So you can't folks is talking on both sides of the fence, and everybody that's got something to say would have you believe they are an expert in what they're watching. They've been doing it for years. I've been covering camp for years, and I got credentials and I got experience and all that kind of stuff, man. And it's like at the end of the day, you got to go and you got to strip all of the bias. That's the hard part. Strip all of the bias, because you got some people that's been talking smack for years, and then when it doesn't turn out the way they think it will, they ain't got nothing to say. Yeah, they're splitting snaps. I saw that. I read that article, and then everybody wants to super analyze every little word. And it's like, man, just use some common sense. Just use some common sense. Everything's not a conspiracy. Everything's not a corporate takeover. Coaches trying to do what coaches do. Based on everything, and again, I'm on the outside looking in, and I love to use Cleveland as an example, is because for a while, it seemed like they were doing everything they could to keep Shador from playing. And in a small way, to me, that's very similar to what they're doing down here with Jalen. He going through the same thing up there in Cleveland. You got to prove yourself time and time again. And when you do prove yourself, they move the goalpost, and you got to prove yourself again. Then they move the goalpost, then they got to prove yourself again. Then they move the goalpost. It's just rinse and repeat because it's not their guy. I'm so glad that Shador has got a coach that's advocating for him. Because I thought that other dude, that looked like that was a conspiracy and a concerted effort not to have Shador play. That's what it looked like. Now, I don't know if it was like that for sure, but from the outside looking in, that's what it looked like. Just like for us, what are you hearing? And again, and I cannot stress this enough, and I will say it every time, every chance I get. This is how you know the people on TV don't watch the games. This is how you know when they're talking about, is Saquon going to be better? And they lead with that, but they don't lead with the offensive line. If they don't mention the offensive line and or they don't mention Cam Jurgens specifically, they were not watching our games. Get out of here. Miss me with that nonsense. If they can't tell me what happened to Cam Jurgens, they weren't paying attention. He went on one of the best podcasts in the country and said exactly what happened to him, and they still act like he didn't say it. The man had a slip disc and sciatica. He said it on Bussin' with the Boys podcast. That's one of the biggest podcasts in the country when it comes to football and stuff like that. Very popular. So I know enough people heard that. And you still got people talking about, well, I don't know if Saquon's going to have it. Can he get back to form? You just heard what the problem was. You're not paying attention. You want to spin your narrative, and you want to go with that. You're not paying attention. That's how you know. Easy thing. That's easy to figure out. Shit, watch the games from last year. That's easy to figure out. Me and Dave Spadero talked about that the other day. And I told Dave, I said, Saquon was making chicken salad out of that chicken shit. That offensive line was trash last year because of injury. The one thing that I neglected to get into, because we went so many different ways when I had Spadero on, was the responsibility of Jeff Stoutland in that situation. I didn't get a chance to talk to him about that because I really wanted his opinion. So, what's up, Jack the White? Thank you for the $5 super chat. At what point do you think the offense will have learned the offense sufficiently? When healthy, what is the weakest position group on offense? QB? If you're going to base it from last year, it's got to be the center. That was the source of the problems. How you going to drop back and pass and somebody's already in your face? I went over plays last year. Some of you who were with me, you remember me doing this because when the season starts, y'all know I break out the tapes. There was many plays last year where they were trying to do play action and the defense was tackling Saquon during a fake. So they're already 2 and 3 yards in the backfield and Jalen ain't even finished carrying the fake out yet. So you couldn't even do play. Play action was useless last year. You could only have good play action if you have a good running game. We didn't have a good running game because the offensive line couldn't block. The offensive line couldn't block because Cam Jurgens was hurt. Cam Jurgens was maybe, I wouldn't even think Cam Jurgens was even 50% last year. And there is something to be said when you have an all-pro, Pro Bowl type player. If they're nicked up, they will play anyways. And sometimes when you got somebody that can give you 60%, they can give you 70%. They're not all the way back, but they can give you 60 or 70%. And that 60 or 70% might be better than a backup's 100%. Unfortunately, that was not the case for Cam Jurgens. He was getting his ass reamed. Why you think we couldn't run a tush push last year? What happened to the tush push? And it ended funny. Did nobody have a problem with the tush push when we stopped running it? Now it was all good. Buffalo was running it. Green Bay was running it. Chicago was running it. Just Philly wasn't running it. Now you ain't trying to get it kicked out. Now you're not worried about, is it really a football play? All of that BS they was shuffling last year because they didn't like it was us. It was always us. We were the problem, and they didn't like it because we was shoving it up their ass. But at the big scheme of things was we could not block. We could not run block, and we could barely pass block. We had the backup play against the Giants in New York We had the best offensive output of the year against the New York Giants. And what did they do the next week? They put Cam Jurgens back in there, and we was right back to the same problem. That is a Jeff Stoutland problem. Maybe that's where the disconnect between Stoutland and Sirianni came from. It's possible. And again, let me reiterate this. Y'all know I was a Stoutland fan. When Stoutland walked away, y'all know I was in my feelings. I was not happy. However, Jeff Stoutland is responsible for saying, Cam Jurgens, you're not getting it done. I need your backup in there. Brett Toth, get in there and play. When Brett Toth started against New York, we had the best offensive output. We had, 390 yards or whatever it was? The best offensive output of the year. Saquon went crazy. And then the next week, we go right back to what we were doing. And it's like, why did we do that? Why didn't we just stick to what was working? I don't know if there was something else. Did we not have another backup for Landon Dickerson? I don't know. But that was on Jeff Stoutland. As much as I love him, and as much as I thought he was platinum, untouchable, that's on him. And that's fair. That's a fair criticism. Because if you're going to give him all the praise with the way our offensive line was when we went to the Super Bowl, that was fair and warranted. Then you got to give him on the other side. If we screwing up, it's got to fall on him too. That's the way it works. But I said all of that to say, if you looked and watched what we were doing, what the Philadelphia Eagles were doing, you knew good and daggone well what the problem was with our offense. Jalen had his issues, but when you ain't got time to throw, what you gonna do? We talk about all the time for quarterbacks, throwing in rhythm. 3-step drop, 5-step drop, 7-step drop, and then getting rid of the ball in rhythm. Before you get rid of the ball, somebody out there has got to be open. And more times than not, it wasn't happening. And it got to the point where, in my opinion, our routes were so simplistic, they knew what we were doing. We didn't change nothing up. And they were sitting on A.J. Brown and saying, let somebody else beat you. Give Smitty an opportunity. He's not going to throw across the middle, so we're not worried about that. And that is where I look at Kevin Patullo and say, man, your chess game was suspect, bro. And I'm comfortable saying that because I remember in 22 and 23 when everybody and their mama knew we was throwing the ball to A.J. Brown and they sat on the routes and they still couldn't stop him. They knew we were going to A.J. and they still couldn't stop us. And why come we couldn't do that again? That was the curious part. Why come we couldn't do that again? Everybody's running play action. Everybody's using their tight ends. Our tight ends couldn't block very well. Dallas Goedert wasn't very good at blocking. Grant Calcaterra was not very good last year at blocking. So it all came back to haunt us. It is pretty clear what the issues were. Most of them were offensive, but it started at the offensive line. We were not healthy, and because we weren't healthy, we couldn't block worth shit. New ball game this year. Lane Johnson. The minute Lane Johnson is healthy and in the game, somebody on that defense got a problem. I think to go back and answer your question, if there is a weak point on our offense, I think it's the right tackle. Who's that? Fred Johnson? I think that's the weak point because you got Lane Johnson, then you got, I think, Fred Johnson, then you got Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and Mailata. So the right guard is the weak point, in my opinion. So Cooper, the coach Cooper, in my opinion, he's got it easy because the offensive line is not going to block as bad as they did last year. They have to get better just by being healthy. And I would think, based on what they learned last year, if Cam Jurgens get hurt, if the stem cells don't work, then get somebody in there to back them up, and we'll deal with the consequences. But right now, everybody's healthy. We good to go. We are good to go. And that's the way you want to be. So what I'm waiting to see is when I go to camp, I'm always first person I look for when I go to camp is Big Barrett. Me and Barrett always connect, and we always standing at the front watching. Always go over to the offensive line because I want to see what the offensive line is looking like one-on-one against the defensive lineman. That's what you want to see. That's where our game is going to be won or lost. That is going to determine what we can and cannot do with Sean Mannion's offense. I think Sean Mannion's offense is going to be just fine. I think we're going to have some new wrinkles. I think the play action is going to be better. I think Saquon Barkley is going to run the ball a little bit more efficiently, and he'll be back well over. I know he was over 1,000 yards, but he had to work for it. I think this year he'll be well over 1,000 yards. I wouldn't mind seeing Saquon 1,500 yards. That's possible with a healthy offensive line. Are they going to stay healthy all year? I don't know. But we'll see. And that's what I want to see when I go. Yes, I'm going to look at the offense. Yes, I'm going to look at Mekhi. Yes, I'm going to look at Dontavian Wicks. I'm working on the video now. Who are my 5 people to watch at camp? Me and Dave talked about this a little bit. Who are my 5 people to watch? Jalen Hurts, Dontavian Wicks, Mekhi Lemon, Jahad Campbell, and Andrew Makuba. So I got 4 on offense, or 3 on offense, 2 on defense. And we solid. Are Cam and Landon healthy at this point? Yes, as far as I know, they are. I know it was a big deal with Cam Jurgens because he told go and look at that episode of Bussin' with the Boys podcast and watch it. He explains it in detail with the stem cell, how he was feeling. He got stem cell treatment, all of that kind of stuff. He did all of that. So as far as I know, they are both good to go. 100%. So we'll see. I want to see Markel Bell. That big boy. I want to see him move the crowd. I want to see Hinton, the kid from Michigan, and what's the other kid's name? Kendall. I want to see him. We got some legacy players, guys whose dad played in the league. So they got the pedigrees. I want to see them. I want to see it. So, but as far as I know, our offensive line is good. Is it Steen? Yeah, it might be Tyler Steen. Fred Johnson might be the backup for Lane, I think. So I think you're right. I think it is Tyler Steen as the right guard. But my analysis is the same. The right guard, if we're going to establish a weak point, it's either the right guard or the center. The right guard because everybody else has been to Pro Bowls on that line of scrimmage. So I would consider that the weak point. Or Cam Jurgens. If Cam Jurgens, all it takes is one hit to throw your back out. When you dealing with that type of stuff, slip discs and nerve endings and all of that type of stuff, it doesn't take much. So I'm going to assume that he's worked through it. He's rehabbed it, all the treatment he's got. I'm going to assume that all of that kind of stuff has worked. We haven't heard, when you go through camp, if you're not hearing anything about the offensive line, that is a good thing. No news is good news. Even if the only time you hear about the O-line is when they get beat. Somebody came on a blitz and the O-line didn't pick them up. They got a sack or, Jordan Davis gets through the line. That's going to happen. The defense always has the advantage in situations like this. Always, always, always. The defense always has the advantage. The defense can come on the field, nobody can call a play, and they can still beat the offense in the play. That can happen. The defense can pin their ears back and just come. get across the line of scrimmage, get to the quarterback, and disrupt pass, all of that type of stuff. So the onus is always on the offense. So I don't put too much when people saying, the defense has been killing the offense. The offense is going to look at a game. Look at it and look at a game realistically. How many times does the offense just blow out the defense? How many times are the games getting like 28-0, 35-0, 35-7, 28-3? How many actual games are there like that? It's actually not too many. Even when a good team is playing the bad team is still going to score some points. They just get outscored. So the defense is always going to win. Now, the further you get along in the game, in the season, that's when the glue of the team begins to tighten and solidify and strengthen. What happens is, and this is just my interpretation of it, the further you get along in the game, the further you get along in the season, your team gets comfortable with one another. When your team and your teammates get comfortable with one another, then you start having what I like to call unspoken communication. When you can get to that point where you know what your teammate is going to do and your teammate doesn't have to say a thing. I heard Hugh Douglas talk about this one time. When he would make mistakes on the line of scrimmage, but he knew Jeremiah Trotter was going to cover him. They didn't even have to say anything. Now, Trot might come up to him after the play like, yo, what was you doing? I saw you did that. I had to jump inside to cover your ass. All of that type of stuff. It happens. But when a team is good enough and everybody's in tune, you know what everybody on the field is doing. And you can get in the zone because, again, remember, when you get in the zone, me as a running back, if I get in the zone, I'm seeing things. When Saquon did that backwards jump, he was in the zone. He was seeing everything. He knew what was happening before it happened. Defense can do the same thing. They see it. They know what's happening when he goes in motion. They know what happens when the tight end picks his hand up off the ground and then puts it back down. Everything that they've seen, everything that they watched in film sessions, everything starts to click. You can tell if the safety's going deep and you got to drop back to cover a little bit, and you don't even have to look back. It just happens, and you just know, and everybody's in sync. That's what you're trying to get to, unspoken communication. Everybody knows what everybody else is doing, and you don't have to say nothing. That is the nirvana of a defense. Offense, same way. You just see stuff. You already know that defensive end is going to try to break outside and break contain, and you already know that offensive tackle is going to wing them and spin them out, and you cut right underneath, bounce it back outside, and take it 60 yards to the house. You already see it happening before it happens. When Saquon Barkley scored that touchdown against the Washington Redskins or the Washington Commanders, and he bounced to the outside, got to the sideline, and cut it back and spun inside and made two men miss. He already knew it was going to happen. He was in the zone. You couldn't touch him. I believe that was a touchdown. Remember when he scored that touchdown, and then he started running like this? And then I don't know if y'all remember this, if you saw it, but when he did that, he ran all the way across the end zone and then ran to the sideline, and he didn't let nobody touch him. He didn't want nobody to touch him. Because when you in a zone like that, you don't want nobody to grab you and snap you out of it. It's hard to explain. It's a mental thing. It's like, you ever seen somebody at their desk and they just kind of staring out in space? They are aware of everything that's going on. They just kind of just staring. That's sometimes what it feels like when you in the zone on the football field. You got all of this shit, people smacking you on the helmet. Good job. But you kind of walk through it, and everything is white noise. Sounds like Sounds like people are talking through a wet filter, like you ever heard somebody try to talk underwater and then you understand what they say, but it's muffled. It's it's hard to explain, but everything is drowned out. You see everything and everything. It's almost like in a movie. Everything is just kind of slowly. Your vision is a vignette. The further you go out in your peripheral vision, it gets blurry, and you just operate. Everything is just on point, and you don't want nobody to snap you out of that. Sometimes you see it sometimes in basketball. When somebody get hot, you ever seen somebody get hot, LeBron or Steph or somebody, and then they go to the end of the bench and folks are like, don't touch him. Don't touch him. Don't say nothing to him. Leave him alone. Coach will go in there, say what he say to everybody else, and then he walk right back on the court. You ain't got to say nothing to him. And the only play you drawing up is get him the ball. That's it. Get him the ball. And you get days like that. And no matter what somebody can do, it don't matter. It don't matter. So I say all of that to say, when you got your defense, when you got your offense, when everybody's in sync, everybody's facing in the same direction, it is a beautiful thing. And you know very quickly who has the best team. There might be somebody out there that has better receivers than us. There might be somebody out there that think they got a better quarterback than us. But they're not going to beat us. They're not going to beat us. Smitty is going to burn somebody. Jalen is going to burn somebody. Mekhi is going to burn somebody. Saquon's going to burn somebody. Collectively, they can't beat us because now you got to concentrate on him, but don't forget about him over here. Now you got to concentrate on Saquon. Don't forget about Dallas right here. Oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts can still pull it and go 60 yards on you because Jalen looks like he's a little bit slimmer and he looks a little bit faster than he was last year. I don't know if he was nursing something, but it seemed like Jalen Hurts wasn't getting out of the pocket and wasn't running like we used to seeing him running. He kind of looks that way now. But again, I got to take my own advice. It's camp. You can only put so much into it. You can only put so much into it. But I like what I see. It's like buying a new car. It looks good on the lot. You still got to drive it to make sure you're getting what you want. So everybody just got to reel it back in a little bit, reel it back in until we get our first joint practice. Until we get our first joint practice. I think I'm gonna have that on my podcast Monday. We're gonna go over some stuff. I'm going to practice on Tuesday. What do I need to what do you want me to look for? What do you want me to look for while I'm at practice? We'll talk about that. So yeah, when the pitcher's throwing a perfect game, sit on the end of the bench. Don't get him water. Don't do a damn thing. Don't touch him. Don't touch his glove. Don't move his hat. Nothing. Leave him alone. I need Tank to be given a fair shot. Tank, I'm not worried about Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby gonna get his shot. Tank Bigsby proved enough last year. He's good. He's good. Shipley is the one that's trying to get a spot right now. So we'll see. So we play B more. Okay. Yeah. I want to see it. That's the exciting part when you go up against somebody else and it's like, man, listen. Now we gonna see what's what. Now when somebody else put their hands on you, what you gonna do? You see all them guys in practice going up against the dummies and doing the hand job and practicing a martial arts move off the line of scrimmage. We'll see what they're gonna do it against a live person. That's when it matters the most. I don't care. The only thing I want to know in camp is the one thing you can get a good gist of is, does Jalen have a handle on the offense? Does everybody look like they know what they should be doing? Does somebody go to? It's pretty easy to tell if somebody went the wrong route. it's pretty easy to pick out mistakes, right? So you don't want to see a lot of mistakes, but it's hard to really tell what you got until you go up against somebody else. So um so yeah. Oh, I wish I had metas. I wish I had metas. I'm gonna bring my drone up. I know I'm not gonna be able to use a drone at practice, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna record down at the stadium. I'm gonna get in front of the stadium and launch my drone and just walk around and talk for about 10 minutes. And that'll be, I just like that setting down there. Maybe I'll do another one across the street at Citizens Bank or something like that. So, but yeah, I'm gonna make the most of being down there and try to get some things done. Preseason games have always been backups. That's the problem now. I made this squad. I made the Eagles squad in the third preseason game. That's how I made the team. 12 carries, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns versus the Atlanta Falcons. That's how I made the team. My longest run was like a 32-yard run, a draw play off the left side, broke the linebackers tackle, bounced it out to the left, and got all the way like to the I think 13-yard line or something like that. That game, that's when I made the team. The next game we played, I don't even remember what the last game was. I did okay. I had a couple carries, didn't do nothing crazy, didn't make no mistakes. But that third game of the year is what got my roster spot, in my opinion. I had a good first game when I played against. We flew to Tokyo. We played in the American Bowl in Tokyo. I had a couple of good plays against the Saints. I caught a screen pass, and almost took that to the house. I think that ended up being like a 40-yard play for me. It was a busted play. Um, Nobody came from the outside, so I was like the check down. So I'm just waiting. Casey Weldon dumped it to me, and I took off. And I think again I got all the way inside the 20, inside the red zone. So so yeah, I made the most of the opportunities. You know, so yeah, I wish we could play more preseason games like we used to. They just don't do that no more. Now you got back when I played, it was I can't remember if it was 16 or we were still at 14 games. I think it was at 16 games at that point. Now we at 17 games. Now they're trying to go to 18 games. And so uh, the more games that they add, the less preseason you're going to have. And it's going to be harder and harder to evaluate talent. I wish I could have signed a rookie deal for 4 years and they could have put me on practice squad for 4 years. That'd have been lovely. That'd have been phenomenal. You make a little bit of money. You got plenty of time to learn the offense and all of that type of stuff. And you have a much better shot of establishing your career the way that it exists. Couldn't do that before. Couldn't do that before. So, um, yeah, I want to see everybody play. I want to see all of these young fellas get in. I want to see all of these undrafted free agents. I want to see somebody get a shot. I always love seeing that. I love seeing somebody like Darius Cooper. I love seeing somebody like Jalix Hunt to prove people wrong. Like, y'all missed him. How come nobody recruited him? Nobody, y'all thought he wasn't good enough to go to a D1 school. Like, all of those questions always come back up. Because I said that before when I was in the park the other day. It's like, don't, because what happens is you'll go to camp and, when you amongst your teammates and people that might not be here tomorrow, when you still going through that, folks getting cut and stuff like that, people like to shame you because you didn't go to a big school. People will throw any reason, any excuse to try to get in your head to disrupt what you're supposed to be doing. Pulling the fire alarm. Back when I played, you still had a lot of people that was big into hazing. So a lot of times you would get the vets that would fire off the fire extinguisher down the hallway, because usually most of the rookies would stay on the same floor, and then you wake up and in the hallway you can't see nothing because there's somebody that let loose an extinguisher, or they hit the fire alarm and it's 2:00 in the morning. You stupid shit like that, and you got to be up at 6 because you got to go to treatment, then you got to go to breakfast, then you got to go to morning meetings, then you got to get practice, and you don't have only 4 hours of sleep. on top of you already stressed beyond belief. People do that on purpose. People do that on purpose. I knew you weren't gonna miss it, Tiff. I did start early tonight though. I did start early tonight. So it's um it's a lot of mentals that you got to juggle, and you know everybody ain't your friend. That's the other thing. Everybody is not your friend. You have a bunch of people trying to live out a childhood dream and get a six-figure salary. That's what it comes down to. So it can be cutthroat. I remember when some of the vets used to tell us to go the wrong way, tell us the wrong play, all of that kind of stuff. Anything to make you look bad. And when you're a rookie, everything you do, every mistake that you make, you immediately think you're going to get cut. That's how on edge you are. If a coach wants to see you in his office, your heart drops because you don't know if they want to give you some new plays. You don't know if they, you know, found your phone on the field. You don't know if they want to tell you to get a new pair of socks. You don't know what it is, but your heart drops because you think you're about to get cut. You talking about pins and needles, and you talking about stressful? Nobody's your friend, man. You got to learn what you got to learn yourself. And you can't. Now it's a little bit better because you got people that are just, they understand the process and they want to try to help you out. But in every camp, there's always one or two people. If y'all saw my post the other day, when I was talking about what people do to try to make you look bad, there's always somebody that's going to fight in camp. Somebody is going to fight in camp. And then what did I see? I think it was a clip of a Bengals practice, and you had somebody talking smack, somebody pulled a helmet off, and they was fighting. And that's one of the quickest ways you can get cut now. If you fight. Back in the day, some people used to think it was spirited and you ain't gonna let nobody get a hold of you. They're just trying to beat you down. Nowadays, they don't do that because if you fighting, you taking precious time away from practice. And what I didn't realize was I heard this the other day on the radio. You only got a certain amount of time on the field. The NFLPA has cameras at every practice facility so they can look in and see literally how long you practice. And if you break that threshold, they can fine you. So they don't play about that. So you only get 2 hours of full pads, or whatever your time period is, it is not the time to be screwing around. And if you got one person that's always getting into fights, always wasting time, you done spent 5 minutes of your drill period because this guy and such got into a fight and it took 3 minutes to break them up, all of that. So you done wasted 5 minutes of a period. They gonna get that dude the hell up out of there. It's not like it used to be when it comes to stuff like that. They do not play. All of the hazing and all that kind of stuff. I think they still make some rookies sing the fight song or sing a song or something like that. But some of the shit they used to do back in the day, nah. You couldn't get away with that anymore. Not with social media and all that kind of stuff. Ain't no way. So luckily, I was with Randall and Herschel and, Seth and Eric Allen, and I played with all of them dudes. They wasn't about that nonsense. I saw one guy get taped to the goalpost one time. That was Tony Brooks. Tony Brooks, running back from Notre Dame. He got signed a year before I did. So basically, I took his spot. But he was milking the injury. But he was somebody that, even though he wasn't practicing, somebody that was always talking in practice. And then one day you see them knots in everybody's socks and they about to tape somebody to the goalpost. So they grabbed him up, took about 3 of the vets, the offensive linemen, taped them to the goalpost and dumped Gatorade on them. And then, of course, all of the press is there. And then sometimes they'll take pictures. And so usually it was a big deal. It wasn't nothing crazy, just to embarrass them or stuff like that. But other than that, like, they don't play them games no more. There's too much money being passed around. And nah, all it takes is somebody getting their feelings and all hell will break loose. Because some people, they are not there to play. They are not there to play, and they will let you know, like, I am not the one. And you don't want them problems. So that shit just kind of phased itself out naturally. So, um, so yeah, man. Yeah, Jalen was right in his offense, man. Just again, Tiff, they don't pay attention. They don't pay attention to what we're doing. They don't, and it's quite evident. All you got to do is listen to what they're talking about. If you pay attention to the Philadelphia Eagles, you know what our problems are. If you watch tape or you watch somebody that breaks down tape, you know what our problems are. It's not complicated to figure out, and people still get it wrong. So, very interesting phenomenon that goes on. On top of everybody goes overzealous in camp. So, for me, you got about 2 more days. You got till Sunday to get all of this newness out. And then the expectations need to settle down and get real. The excitement of having your team back training again is over. Now, let's settle down. Let's see what we got. Let's see what Makai Lemon looks like on a slant. Let's see what Dontavian Wicks looks like going deep. Let's see what Jalen looks like under center. All of those questions can be answered. And then you can elevate the questions to, what do we look like when we going up against somebody else? So I'm with you on that one, man. I'm all for it. I am all for it. But you got to be patient. Gotta be patient. Let's see. Y'all said when do the Eagles okay, the Eagles, okay, so we don't play until August 15th. So we got two more weeks. 3 more weeks, really. So we got a ways to go. We got a ways to go. I'm guessing that the 15th will be our alumni game. No, it'll probably be the 28th. It'll probably be the 28th against the Bengals. And I would love that because I'm a Cincinnati guy. So I love my Bengals. Who they? I bleed green, but I was born in the jungle. So what can I say? So what's up? What's up, Tone? What's good with you? I went a little early today, trying some new time slots. That way I ain't got to be tied up at night because I think the Indiana Fever play tonight. So I was like, let me go early. But in any case, man. So yeah, man, everybody just temper your expectations. Just take everything with a grain of salt. When somebody does a great play, it's like, yeah, that was a great play. You know, it was a great play. Just leave it at that. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's not the greatest catch ever. It's not Madden is not going to try to add that move to the repertoire in the video game because you saw it in practice. You ain't going to have none of that stuff. So just take it with a grain of salt and hope that some of these guys and what they do in practice is going to translate to what they end up doing in the game. That's what you want. That's what you want. So it's like I said, get over the newness. You got 2 more days. You got till Sunday to get over the newness. Next week, Monday, school's out. School's out. I have expectations Monday. On Tuesday, I'm going to be at camp taking notes. I'm going to be taking notes. Matter of fact, I'm going to be using my phone. I'm going to be taking verbal notes on my phone on what I see. So I'm supposed to hook up with Barrett. So I will probably I'll probably record us like sitting at a table or something like that. So but so I'll get some content. I'll be talking to some other people and all that. You know how we do. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So when I find out when the alumni game is and when I'm going to be on the field and all that kind of stuff, I will definitely let you guys know. So if anybody's going to be at the game, look for me. Look for me because I'm probably going to do I'll probably try to do some tailgating one of these at the preseason game. So we'll see. 6 more Sundays of football. Yes, sir. You already know, bro. You already know. But listen, I'm going to land this plane. Methinks that tonight I'm going to go get me some barbecue. So let me find out what my wife wants to eat. I think I'm going to go up to Mission Barbecue up the street. because I don't feel like cooking no ribs. Um, and give me a plate of barbecue or something. I think I will do that. But I'm gonna get up out of here. I appreciate y'all. Listen, I will let you guys know because I might try to do this again. I like this time slot. I like this early, so that way, if my wife want to sit down and have QT later on tonight, I can do that. But tonight, I did plan on watching the Indiana Fever game, so there's that. So now I got this stream out the way, and I got pretty good feedback. Got some pretty good feedback. I'm still trying to get 100 yards a game. Right now, I think we peaked out at like 62, maybe. So I'm still working on that, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it. Remember, don't forget, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And next time I go live, tell your cousin, tell your play cousin, tell your friend and her friend. So we got to build this live audience, man. We're going to get it done. All right. Michigan barbecue is good. Listen, everybody's barbecue is good if they cook it right. It's hard to screw up barbecue. If you go somewhere and the barbecue ain't good, they trying to do it bad. They trying. It's hard to screw up barbecue. So, and I know my brisket is tight. My brisket is, That's one thing I do brag about, my brisket. I do. I am going to do, eventually, I am going to do a live stream cooking. I'm going to go back. I'm going to have a live stream, and I'll be outside cooking on my stick burner. I'm going to have my master build going, and yeah, we're just making a stream out of it. I'm going to have it hooked up on my phone. I need to find me a new phone anyways. I got to find me an old phone with a big screen because I need another phone so I can use it specifically with my drone. That's what I want it for. So I might go to like one of these shops and buy like a busted up phone or something. But in any case, yeah, got some more drone shots that I got to set up for next week. I'm working on a new studio. So I do have a new studio coming. So we're going to have a new background. I think I'm going to go back. I like this little office setup, but I want to do a little bit more to it. I want to go back to my animations. I want to go back to my people walking across the windows. I want to go back to having my partners, logos, Simply Ball Dropping, Chalk It Up Sports, Tony Grossi, all of them guys in the background. Go back to the way it was. Get a little bit of animation going so y'all don't get bored with my background and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun. So I got some things in the works. All right. I got some things in the works for this 2026 NFL season. All right. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Friday. I appreciate y'all. Tone, my brother, I appreciate you, bro. Tiffany, as usual, Lil Williams, everybody in the chat. Thank you for the super chats. Linda Washington, I appreciate you. Quentin, I appreciate you. Who else? Who did I miss? Chalk It Up. I told Tone. Airbrush. Appreciate you. Yas. Void Green. Everybody, man. Riz 1845. Everybody in the chat, man. I appreciate you. Love you. I appreciate you. Appreciate the love. Let's keep this thing growing, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And we're going to be about our business. So I'm out of here. Peace. Tell your people you love them while they're here. Go Birds.
Yeah. Yo, 2026 and the link is feeling cold. Last year is done, new story getting told. Jalen under fire, say his vision's getting tight. They say he's uncoachable, can't get right. AJ in New England, now that deal is done. Lemons got the green light, pick that number one. Benny in the coordinator, put your fears to rest. Patello playing checkers, why this dude is playing chess. AJ finally traded and the hype train's broke. Rabel's back to coaching and Rosini's catching smoke. 10 toes down with the Eagles on the scene. Ain't no time for fakers cause your boy is bleeding green. Sources leaking stories but you know it's all cap. Coach Markus on the mic and he's shooting all facts. Search trending topics, information moving slow. Pro fan talk, always keep you in the know. Hit the bell, that's law. Break it down from the film to the box score raw. Where the real ones bar. From the birds to the league, we gon' cover it all.